Krew in 1992 in the halls of Hunters Hill High School in northern Sydney. I still remember it. She was right there up on the top of the stairs near my homeroom class. So since high school, since we were 13.
I really started writing it over 10 years ago when I was searching for success and wanting to understand what that meant and what that looked like and why I wanted it, and if I got it, would I feel successful? When I started really kind of reaching for all those answers, the answer was really clear that it was Dolly Parton. She was like my answer to what success looked like, what I think it would feel like. And so I kind of started going, how can I be Dolly Parton? How can I have a life like Dolly Parton? It'd be better if I felt like my success would be doing something a lot simpler, but Dolly was it. So I started writing to figure out all of those questions I had about success via a Dolly Parton impersonator. The whole writing process is such a different collaborative experience than just getting hired as an actress to do something, especially because our production company co-produced it. It was a whole business that was going on, which I love, and I think that's also part of why I originally affiliated with Dolly, is because I saw her as a businesswoman and an artist and hilarious and sexy and looking like that, but I've been able to do that and pull that off and be in control of the jokes and be kind and beautiful and gentle and have wisdom. So it was a pretty different process writing to acting, but it all kind of bleeds together for me. It's just telling stories, which I love to do. I love it any way I can get it. I grew up singing and dancing and acting like in a little dance troupe in Sydney, and we kind of got to tour a little bit, and along the way we came across impersonators and other people that were doing different jobs, like different theatre jobs, and so I kind of had a little bit, like it's a little bit more in the dance world, doing like if you Kylie Minogue or Britney Spears, or often they've got a really strong dance background. And then on top of that, I went to Vegas and I saw a bunch of shows and I talked to a bunch of impersonators, and I knew from some corporate worlds that they were really big. They're really big in Hong Kong, and there's a huge subculture there. So yeah, I was probably ahead of everybody else just because I was writing it, but I wanted to make sure that what the culture was, what I loved about it, and then as a writer, how I wanted to write it and represent that.
Yes, it was Krew's idea for me to play the Elvis Presley impersonator, which I was so taken aback with. But Krew always thinks outside the box. She's always got some idea that is really innovative and unusual in the best possible way. That's why I think she's such a great artist and so creative, and I could not have enjoyed it more to play with that idea of gender and to dress up. And who is more impersonated than Elvis Presley? Nobody. He's sort of the most iconic impersonated person in the world. Yes. So to be part of that, if you will, legacy of people who've done that, I think was really an honor and very fun. And I immersed myself in the footage and in his history, and tried to do it as best I could. And also I felt some sort of allowance in that I was in the character is playing Elvis. I'm not actually supposed to be Elvis. So that was also fun. Yes. Oh, I'd love to. The more surprise that I could get from more mileage out of that than I can get is better. Absolutely. Yes, that would be.
You're not alone. There's a lot of people that didn't, and a lot of people on the film. Our editor was in like 4 days into the edit, and she called Gracie and went, "Is Rose Elvis?" Like, yes, she's in the film. Like it was. And my dad has been part of this process, and my dad didn't realize it was you until the credits.
There's nothing more flattering as an actor to not be recognized.
Yes.
Truly, it's like to be that. You go, I didn't even know that was you. Like, is the highest form of flattery for an actress, I think. That was my favorite bit, playing Elvis on the downhill slide, playing with that kind of narrative as Elvis in his real life, and then in the story. And he represents something to Red that is sort of larger than himself, in that it's that unattainable thing that somebody does, and then when someone rejects you, and the onus you put on them, and what they end up representing. That I think every person can relate to that feeling. And then when they have that confrontation toward the end is very jarring, and it's a very strange moment and a kind of dark moment, and you sort of see EP break their character for the first time. And
100%, yeah. And especially when, as we often do, you can start sort of portraying a slightly different version of yourself, and that gets more traction than your true tracksuit pants, sitting at home in front of the TV version does. And that's really confusing. And yes, Red 100% wants to run away from who she is and where she was in her life, which was she wasn't fitting in, and she didn't have her people, and she ran towards who she thought were her people, and within that they were her people and they weren't her people, and she really has to become someone else to figure out who she truly is. 100%. She learns so many things being Dolly Parton, because you can't not learn from Dolly Parton. She is, as Rose always says, she's the only person that everyone can kind of agree on at the moment. The generosity and positivity that Dolly exudes.
Her joy.
And so, she learns to be a better version of herself via Dolly Parton's isms and beauties, and she has seen it and she's loved it. She's tweeted about it. She has seen it, and we went to her pretty early on. We really couldn't do the film without her, and without her blessing, and without her music. So it was really important morally, and
we couldn't have made it. We had to have access to the catalogue as well. So it was we approached Danny Nozell, her manager, and I drove down to Nashville. I was in Atlanta shooting a movie. I was 6 months pregnant, and I drove down 4 hours through listening to Christian radio all the way to Nashville. And I met him, and we had our meeting, and I gave him the script, and I just said, we ask for your blessing. Will you come on board with us this journey? And he gave it to Dolly, and just shortly after that, she loved the script, and she came on. She gave us her blessing, and Danny helped. He's an EP on the movie, and I've had this now a long friendship with him for the last nearly 10 years of getting the film made, and him helping us get the music. So flattery is the
highest.
No, imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yes.
That's what Dolly said about the film, which was very sweet. And I'll go with that.
Oh, me too. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Oh, she can't help herself but be interested in them as people. She certainly falls in love with Kenny and the idea of Kenny Rogers and the idea of Kenny and Dolly being together. That's such a beautiful, open-armed welcome for her. But the more she pushes towards being Dolly, the more her inner Red is yanking her back, and she's trying to find who Kenny is, and she's definitely scratching at who's the person beneath there. But, well, I could answer that, but it's also interesting not answering that and allowing everybody to answer that for themselves. As a writer, I grabbed onto the idea of a woman finding her joy in playing Elvis Presley as like an Elvis Presley impersonator. I thought that was really interesting. Through the storytelling of the film, it can be looked at in many different ways, and it's nice to keep that open. I find that such a hard question to answer.
Because I hate prescribing a feeling. I don't want to prescribe a feeling of I hope they feel like this or that. I think the film is filled with joy, and I think it has, and that is a lovely thing to have at this time, is sort of a joyful quality, and I want them to, again, I don't want to prescribe a feeling. Like you say, you want to just give it over. It's the audience's now. Yeah,
it's a little independent film. We're really proud of it, and we're just honoured for anyone who watches it now, or even if it falls in someone's lap in 10 years' time. I hope that they are entertained.
Mm-hmm.